take off his coonskin hat and lay it on the floor. He then walks to the other side of the room. Now, it wasn't a very big room because this was a log cabin, and started flicking the cards one at a time in the hat. We were all amazed at his dexterity and his ability to make a bullseye every time. Even I was so thrilled to see this man put on such a show that the facial hair on my lips stood out. And he flipped them all. Well, not all but two. Kenny Kinsman doesn't hold a full deck. Let's see. Oh, another thing about the Pleasant Hill area, the cemetery is not legally part of Pleasant Hill Church. We're two different entities, especially now it's Pleasant Hill Memorial, and the cemetery is owned by the township. In 1983, it was the home of the largest red cedar in Iowa. And, where is that picture? This picture. This is something we just discovered. So, was Mabel, Milo Van Horn, and Mabel Babb, and I always wanted to know if they got married or not. You know, it looked like they were a couple. I didn't know the story, so we were together working on this, and Leah did some Googling, and she also knew of a hymnal. Is it at the church?
Yeah, it's still there.
You tell the story about what's in the hymnal.
I don't totally remember what was said. It was just like the very front. She had written this note saying, turn to page, another page. You turn to that page, and there was this like little love note that she had written.
To this guy, right?
I think
to him.
Yeah, I think
but
so,
I
right?
looked on graves.com, findgrave.com, and they did not get married, at least not a record. So he was married to someone else. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. Okay, I won't be too much longer. I do want to talk a little bit about the current history. First of all, before I forget. The Historical Society, I don't know, most of you probably know the story of this, but in 2016 and 17, when there was a changing of the guard, those of us on the board had no idea what we were doing. And you, the Historical Society, thank you, Jeff, you stepped in and you took us by the hand and led us through the ropes and gave us a very good start. And an artist came and spent the day drawing this picture for our annual celebration. I think there's still some for sale, if I remember correctly. These stars in here were made by the ladies group. I don't know what it would have been called, but these are all the Pleasant Hill veterans, a star to represent each Pleasant Hill veteran.
Question.
Yes.
You want to talk about Amelia Monroe?
I still don't know very much about Amelia, except that she was part of it wasn't the Daughters of the American Revolution, but some of the men have stars out there too for this, and I can't remember the name of it, but I don't think she ever saw military time, but she was part of a support group for the military.
She's listed under the program as a Civil War veteran.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know how that got there. That's just always been on the program since the time the programs were made. And I don't have Don to ask, I wish I did, but he probably knows, knew that story, and I don't know it. If anyone else does, we'd be glad to know it. Because that is a bit of a mystery. Well, I know that Pleasant Hill is supposed to thrive. And I know this because of things that happened when in 2016 and 17, the church was in pretty bad repair. The walls were stained, the ceiling was cracked. You can see, this is my little grandson helping clean for the homecoming celebration. So that part hasn't changed. The families are still digging in there. This is a picture of Randy LeBeck before he was on the board or a member of our crew. He was fixing the bell for us out of the kindness of his heart, and that's how we snagged him. out there and fell in love with Pleasant Hill like so many people do. So this is the spring of 2018. You can see the pews are outside, being moved outside.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing.
Shortly after that time, Steve Bosshart, a neighbor of mine and was just north of Pleasant Hill, he came up to me and he said, "I'd like you to paint the interior of the church." And that was the first step for us. We hadn't asked him, he just came up out of the kindness of his heart and did that. Spent hours and hours and hours because it was really cracked, and he cleaned out each crack and spackled it. He also paid for part of the paint, took nothing for labor. But he told me, "I need the pews out of here to do this." And he said, "And by the way, if you're taking the pews out, I think the floor probably needs done." And it was a little overwhelming, but I was a land surveyor, and I was eating lunch in Coon Rapids, part of it, one of my jobs, and I didn't know, but I was sitting next to Stuart French, and just started up the conversation, figured out who he was. I told him about the floors at Pleasant Hill, and he said, "Sure, I'll come take a look at it." Well, one thing led to another, and Stuart redid the floors, charged us nothing for labor. We paid only for the materials. While we had it kind of apart, we thought, well, these windows are stained glass windows. The lead was separating, there were gaps. We were just afraid they were just going to come. They had some storm windows on it, but we were afraid they were going to come falling in. We applied for a grant, Louis Dreyfus grant, and Bendix and Brothers, which happened to be some relation to Marianne now. They replaced the windows. This is just another view of the windows. I know that made some people sad to lose the yellow windows, but it was too expensive to fix those. There was no way that we could come up with that kind of money to do that. So here's May in 2018 already. The floors are sanded, it's been painted, and the windows have been replaced. We did continue to have, this was a kind of a church gathering. I think on Sunday nights for a while we had like a Bible study group there. And here you can see how it looks with the first coat. That was the first coat. It required several coats. So part of the story was Stuart French. He told me he would come do it. He said, "When I get there, my sander's very heavy. I'm very old. I'm going to need help getting that up the stairs." I said, "Fine. You let us know when you're coming. We'll get help." So he called one evening and said, "I'll be there tomorrow." I said, "Okay," because I had a survey schedule. All the help that I knew of was working on that survey, and I said, "We'll make it happen." And I said, "Okay, God, I need some help here." I went to the toy shop to think this over and have some ice cream. I was standing behind a young man. He was a high school-aged young man, and he turned around and started a conversation with me. We had a nice conversation waiting for ice cream. And I said, "What are you doing tomorrow? Could I hire you to help redo a wood floor?" And he said, "I'm not doing a thing. And by the way, can I bring a friend?" I said, "That would be great." So they helped Stuart. The first story I should have told, it just happened, for no reason. 2016, Mary Weaver, Matt Thompson, and I, not really knowing I knew Matt Thompson fairly well. I didn't really know Mary too well. We all wandered into the same business meeting that year after the Memorial Day celebration, and it had just gotten to be too much for everybody. Don wasn't there anymore, and everything that needed to be done was overwhelming. But Matt and Mary and I, just for some reason, walked in there. I call it a miracle, all these things that happen really for no apparent reason. You know, call it whatever you want. There just too many things happened without any human, you know, anybody really trying. And so I really believe that Pleasant Hill, it's not just supposed to be an historical marker. It's supposed to be a part of the community again today. And really, it has. We've all, the board members, we've become like family. The gatherings that we have another wedding. We've had several weddings. We have another one this fall. We'll probably have a quilt show and possibly a car show, you know, some other things at our fall festival. We've had several fall festivals. And that's what we need. We need more families like the ones that we remember to come in and make more memories with the young people so that we can keep doing this, so that it's an active place. So, is there, you want to talk about the book?
This is a book that Gina, Marianne Carlson's sister, wrote. It is very interesting if you've never read it. It was for sale at the printer's box. Just good.
It has a lot of Pleasant Hill memories and songs from the hill.
All the songs.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know how to get it there? It used to be for sale at the printer's box.
They were, and is there any left? They don't know. I guess she probably need to contact you.
Yeah. If you have a local Pleasant Hill, that is a great thing. I think, any more stories? Do you have any good stories for us? Comments or, yes?
Just a question, you said the cemetery is owned by the township, what's the name of the township?
Grand Township.
Who owns the church?
It's Pleasant Hill Memorial. So we didn't really cover this. In 1952, Beth? 1952, the services stopped, the regular services stopped at Pleasant Hill. They continued to keep it up. It was still part of the Methodist. They hadn't relinquished it, but it really was not active. Then in 1965, the Pleasant Hill Memorial was formed, which is different than the Pleasant Hill Methodist Church. Pleasant Hill Memorial was Don Kuhn, Wallace, some of the other names you've heard mentioned were on that board, and so the place continued to be cared for, and to this day it's the Pleasant Hill Memorial. And that's another thing. The roof has been redone, and we got a grant from the Greene County grant.
Community Foundation.
Yes. They were good enough to award us a grant for the roof, which was done last year. We've gotten a grant for a mini split system, so we can kind of cool it off and heat it when necessary. So that might take us a little while to get that done, but we're working on that. Yes.
There's a few prints of the painting at the museum for sale.
Okay. Is it a real price?
I think they're $25.
I don't think they're not in the frame, but they are.
They were $50 and we were marking them down to 25. So Jed is right. If you would like them, there are 3 left. So if anybody wants to, you can stop in at the museum. We'll be open tomorrow from 9 to 12 and we're open on Wednesday afternoons from 1 to 4. And you can pick one up. They're beautiful prints. They're very high quality.
They are very, very nice. Yeah, and there are actual people in here. You know, I can remember Mary Richards had red pants on that day. You can see the trombone slide of the trombone. The band was playing that day. You can see the trombone slide in front of the band. There are people that you might be able to pick out. Yes?
Is Gina the artist?
No.
Oh.
I wish she were. I wish Gina was the artist, but do you remember what was the name of this?
Zach Jones.
Zach Jones. Yeah. From where?
Malvern.
Malvern, yeah. Yeah, he came and spent the whole day. He just set up his easel out there. We shut off the churchyard and the park and there or anything, and we just had a lot of celebration going on that day. We talked about having Gina come back and do that and have another artist. And so, okay. Well, I guess if there's no more questions or comments, we really appreciate you having us here to talk about Pleasant Hill. We all love the place very much. And yeah, come on out and join us. Yeah, thanks.